Hey guys, once again it's Professor Troll here. Today we're going to be showing you an Unknown Missing deck. Unknown Missing is once during your turn, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, if your opponent has 12 or more supporters in their lost zone, you can automatically win the game with this ability. It's a pretty cheeky deck. I kind of like it. Now the weird part is you only run one of these. It's because you really only need one of them, and the chance of getting prized is pretty slim. So one Unknown Missing. You run 3 Giraffe Rig from Lost Thunder. You mostly use this for the Get Lost attack. So for 1 colorless energy, you can put 2 cards from your opponent's discard pile into their Lost Zone. So that's 2 supporters right there. Or if you're playing the energy grind game, which you will be, that's 2 energy that they won't be able to do. That's going to hurt Malamar decks pretty bad, and Rayquaza decks. Then you run, wrong order here, 3 Slowpoke and 3 of the Slowking, also from Lost Thunder. You run Slowking for Memory Melt, which lets you look at your opponent's hand and put any card you find there into the Lost Zone. So that could be a supporter that you may need. It may be an energy card you really don't need them to have, an item card that you don't need to have. Anything that you really don't need them to have will be gone. Most likely it will be a supporter because that's what you really need to win. Then we run, for consistency's sake, 2 Slugma and 2 Magcargo. Pretty obvious. Use it for smooth over. Put something on top of your deck that you're never going to need next turn, like a Plumeria or a Judge or something like that. Then we run 1 Instructor Rangaroo for draw support, and 1 Resource Management Rangaroo to get your stuff back, like your Crushing Hammers, your E-Hammers, your Plumerias, anything you really need. Sorry if the glare and the angles on this is a bit bad. Then we run 3 copies of Plumeria. So it's pretty obvious you're going to be going for the energy disruption while you're doing this because you can't afford to take too many knockouts. 2 copies of Guzma. It's getting that annoying active Pokemon out of the way. 3 copies of Judge. Sometimes you don't want your opponent to have a good hand. Of course, you never really want your opponent to have a good hand. 2 copies of Lusamine, mostly for the Lusamine combo. So you play Lusamine, grab any supporter you want or a stadium and snag another Lusamine just to turn around and do the next turn. 3 copies of Lily. Upstart your hand at the beginning of the game is always good. And sometimes you're going to need that clutch draw, so 6 cards comes in handy. 2 copies of Team Skull Grunt. I had 3 in here, but I decided to drop it down to 2, replace it with another energy. You're really only going to need this at the beginning of the game, but sometimes late game it can help, especially if you know your opponent has energy in their hand. And 1 copy of Mars. Mars will discard something at random from your opponent and draw you 2 cards. So you won't get to pick what it is, but chances are it's not going to be something they want to discard. That's the supporter lineup, and then we go to the items. So we got 3 copies of Switch. Switch is always useful because you are going to have a Pokemon stuck in the active at some point, and most likely it's going to be Magcargo or Rangaroo, something with a heavy retreat cost that you can't afford, so Switch. 2 copies of Nest Ball. This is mostly to fetch out Giraffe Rig or Slowpoke, but if you really need to fetch out your Unknown, you can fetch out your Unknown with it. 2 copies of Ultra Ball. Again, oop, slid down there. If I can get these stand up. Yeah. 2 copies of Ultra Ball. Again, this is to fetch out more like Slowking or Magcargo, but can also fetch out your Unknown if you need it. And we got 4 Crushing Hammers. I know a lot of people don't like relying on coin flips, but when you're playing Energy Disruption, you kind of have to play Crushing Hammer, and yeah, you're gonna have to flip a coin. It sucks, but that's how it is. We got 3 copies of Enhanced Hammer, Special energy seems to still be going up and being used a lot, especially with the new memory melt thing going out. So if you're going against like Unknown Hand, you're gonna need Enhanced Hammer to get rid of the memory energy, specifically for the Sand Shrew that makes it where you can't hit them. So you hit that memory energy and they won't be able to really pull off their combos too well. Of course, you don't really attack too much with this deck anyway, so. 2 copies of Counter Catcher. Getting something stuck in your opponent's active is always fun. I actually forced a draw with my Gumi Hustlebot deck, which I'll show you next week. Using Counter Catcher, I got the Mercargo stuck in the active. It was pretty funny. One copy of Palpad, just to get those clutch supporters back that you need. And then we got 3 copies of Shrine of Punishment. Shrine of Punishment is going to be your grind game, because almost everybody's running GXs at this point, so it's still going to be really helpful to get around. And then we run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 water energy. And that's pretty much it for this deck. So basically the main focus on this deck is to hit your opponent's hand and discard as much as possible to get those supporters out of the way. If you know they're not running 12 supporters, ignore the supporters completely and start hitting their energy. Get that out of the way. It will crush a Dawn Wings deck, or a Malamar deck, I'm sorry. A Malamar deck, because you're just knocking the energy out of the graveyard before they can equip it. So if you can manage to do that, you can stay ahead of them for quite some time, and Shrine of Punishment will just grind them right out. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, leave a comment. Every comment helps. Help me make this channel grow. Thank you.